You're listening to the RPM Podcast.
Listen to it with your ear holes.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Josh. What's going on?
Another. I don't know. What are we doing anymore? We've been gone for so long.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we used to call this a podcast of some sort, I think.
Well, it's still a podcast. It just hasn't been a weekly podcast. But we're back now. We'll see how regular we can get.
It's the RPM podcast.
Yeah, the RPM podcast needs some like Metamucil or something to get more regular.
That's right. Get more regular. Some fiber. The show needs some fiber.
Oh, jeez. All right, so
Well,
Joe, I'll let you take it away.
all right. So there's been some racing in the Northeast. The dirt season opened up. They've been racing a couple weeks. There's been some practice at Wall. There was kind of an event at Wall. Tim, I think you were there to see that. We'll ask you about that here in a minute. There's an accident in practice, a good one, as I understand it. So they're getting ready to go racing soon. So we'll be talking about Wall soon. So we'll cover Bridgeport. I think we'll talk about a little bit. And a little bit of NASCAR. Been a couple races since we talked about that back in the beginning of the year. So.
Oh yeah.
That being said, let's talk about. And there's been some quarter mile racing, right? Or quarter midget racing. Josh,
Yeah. We got an email
have some
from
results
Chris Schwartz. We're gonna go over some of the quarter midget results in a little bit as well.
All right, that sounds pretty good too. I'm interested to see how that's going. All right, so Tim, let's talk about the Wall practice first, because I heard about it, and of course I saw some social media posts and some pictures and some talk. What happened over at Wall during practice?
It was the first weekend, correct? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Practice was, first of all, practice was good. The weather was really nice. Usually you guys over there, it's usually windy, but it wasn't so bad. There's a lot of people in the stands, good car count. They really didn't get going the first week. They all went down for our first session, all the cars, and then the second session came down, and then it was time for the factory stocks to come back down. And let me see how I want to put it. Chuck Jackie was driving for Chris Webber, who couldn't be there. They built a beautiful race car with a older style, like a '68 Chevelle body on it. Let's saw pictures of that.
Yeah.
And
make a good street stock with that car.
Beautiful race car. It looked like an old Flemington street stock from back in the day. And unfortunately, he came off a turn, going into turn 3, the throttle stuck. And he did a pretty good job of keeping it down, but it finally washed up about halfway through, and the guardrail from the center out to the front straightaway. He just tore it completely down. Luckily, it folded the way it was supposed to fold, as some people say.
Right.
And it was ugly. And then the throttle kept going until he got to the flag stand, and he was able to shut it off at the flag stand. And when they got to him, he put the window net down, and he was stunned. But he got out of the car and he walked to the ambulance under his own power.
Okay.
And later on, I talked to his son and said he got the wind knocked out of him. If anything else, be sore the next morning. And apparently, the car itself, unless they figured out more after the fact, it wasn't as bad. It was more bolt-on stuff than anything else.
Okay.
So it wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible loss.
Which actually is a little surprising if you saw the pictures. I mean, with how much of the wall went missing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a call out to welding truck all day.
Yeah.
we need the welding truck at turn 4 and straight away and everywhere else.
I mean, it was to the point from where it looked like the grandstand, the posts weren't even there anymore. There was nothing to weld to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
No,
know?
it was. You put a hammock up in there.
Well, clearly, they canceled practice. It was early in the day, and they canceled practice. So that was a shame for a lot of those guys that went up there and got all ready for their first. Look, we missed our practice in Egypt, and I was bummed about that. Practice is huge, especially when you make big changes or build something in an off season. So.
Joe, you made a couple big changes this winter season. So, yeah,
I sure did. Yeah, with the a car that we had out once last year, but we brought it in and did some stuff, and there's some new power in that car that we're pretty excited about. And we've had it out a couple times, and it's done pretty good. Had a pretty good run this past Saturday night. I guess we'll talk about that when I talk about the New Egypt results here. So
right.
Yeah. So I knew we were done, but it was such a nice day out, and it wasn't in a rush to get out of there. So I'm like, we'll sit here and see what they say. And about 15 minutes went by, and Emily came over the loudspeaker and said, "Unfortunately, we're done for the day. Everybody's more. They left the concession stands open for this. Is the concession stands and the grandstands will be open for another 45 minutes if you just want to sit here and have lunch and relax or whatever you want to do, and then that'll be the end of today's, session for practice." Believe it or not, a lot of people stayed and did exactly that.
I want to say that's one of the coolest things, that I've seen since, with Emily kind of taking over, has been, all right, we know that this is like a big family thing, and, you're free to hang out here for a bit, we can't stay
Well, they
all
made
night.
the effort to come out, and they were planning on being there all day, and that was, there was their plan, and, I'm sure the track had some food they wanted to sell too. Do they have any food sales going on?
Actually, even Joshua admitted over the last couple of years, I don't want to say it's becoming famous track food, but it's definitely becoming where people aren't bringing food from Wawa anymore. They're eating at the racetrack.
Look, I'll tell you what. So I don't get to Wall as much as I would like to be able to, but the times that I do go, and I get there when I can, the track food there is the best track food around, and I go to a bunch of tracks. It's look, there's variety. There's good variety, and every time you go there, there's something special. There's special and it really is something special if you ask me. So. I heard there was some kind of new bucket or something. Josh, do you want to talk about that?
Oh God,
did you say something about a bucket? Bucket or something?
Yes. My gut got excited. I think it was JC Duvall posted about I think they call it the fat bucket, and it's onion rings, French fries, mozzarella sticks, and chicken fingers, all in this big KFC bucket or whatever. And at a pretty reasonable price. I forget exactly what the number was.
$12.
$12. Oh, yeah.
Hey, bucket. This day and age, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
You can throw that bucket at your crew. And they'll feed dogs.
You go to most racetracks. French fries and chicken fingers are $10. So
yeah, no kidding. So.
Oh, and there's a funny story with that. We were all there, and I wasn't really paying attention. But as we were leaving, my mom was like, "Were they selling fried chicken or something at the racetrack?" I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't go over to the concession stand." She goes, "I saw a bunch of people walking around with this bucket, look like a fried chicken bucket." And then JC Duvall was walking by me. And of course, he doesn't stop and offer me any. He just ran on past me. And then he posted it on his Facebook page.
Well, look, if I had a bucket of chicken like that too, I'd probably ignore people also if I was going on a mission. So
it makes me feel good about being alone.
Alone with my bucket of chicken. So. If we're talking about track food, so Egypt, pretty good track food there.
Hold on, let me finish up Saturday, and then you go into that.
Okay.
One of the other reasons why I went Saturday is because they had something new this year where you could buy a season pass and where you had to rent your seat. So they made back when we started going, my whole life going to Wall Stadium, the section in the middle that runs down parallel with the concrete building, the tower, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That whole section used to be painted red, and that used to be. You paid $1 or $2 more, and those seats you had to sit in, row 2, seat 4, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the picky people had to go. That's where, if you wanted your seat, that's where you went. And that went away, when Timmy Shin and all those guys took over the track. They never bothered. They just made a general admission. They painted all the seats blue. Well, up until this year, if you bought a season pass, they would put your name on. You would sit there. Well, for some reason over the winter, they got the idea where now the top 2 rows, all the way from turn 4 to turn 1, they have like a back on them. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
Josh?
oh
Right?
yeah.
You know, they've made that where now that's going to be reserved. So you could go Saturday night, buy your ticket, say I want to sit in whatever seat, pay another $2 or $3, and that's where you sit.
Okay.
So they made the whole top 2 rows all the way down, which is where I go because I got a spot, so I sit up top.
Right.
So they made it where you could get a season pass, and for however much more it was, I think it was like another $40. You could pick one of the top 2 row seats. A regular season pass without the extra $44, you can't have the top 2 rows. You can have any other row you want except for the top 2 rows.
Okay.
For the extra $44, you get a top row seat. So everybody was all in an uproar about that. It was, besides the cost, it was no problem. You went up there, you did what you had to do. You fill out, you told them where you wanted to sit. They took your picture, and that was it. It wasn't, torture. It wasn't anything. They were very polite. They helped you out, trying to figure out. There was people down there that were sitting in the same seat for the last 20 years. I see them counting rows and counting seats to see where they wanted to be. You know what I mean? So what section and where this and that, and so they were very polite and they helped everybody out. So if you're going to do that, don't hesitate on doing it. They've got it all figured out by now, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I can
you
see
don't
where some people might be a little, thrown off at first, but it doesn't seem like a bad idea, really. Especially on the big, the more popular nights or whatever, to have your spot, reserved.
Yeah, now I can go there at 6:00 and know my spot's going to be there.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
in that place, they can pack the house at that place, especially as the weather gets nicer and nicer, and those hot summer nights, man. I've been there a couple times, and that place is just, packed. So, it's always fun to see.
Okay.
It wasn't that big a deal. And that was it for the first Saturday. You want to talk about the second Saturday? You want to go
You do the second Saturday.
So second Saturday, I saw a little bit about that. I know our very own Scott Rogelman put up some pretty good lap times in his car. I saw some social media discussion about that. That was pretty good.
That cheated up thing.
Hey, they're crate motors. I don't know. They're not quote unquote crate motors. They're regular crate motors. So Scott's a stand-up guy. He wouldn't do that.
I know.
But so he had some pretty good lap times. I wasn't able to be at that practice though. But Tim, you sure were, right? So what'd you see that second practice?
The second practice was good for. Well, there was a Josh. You would have been happy. There was a lot of 4-cylinders, a lot of factory stocks, a lot of black factory stocks. There's going to be a lot of black factory stocks this year, so keep that in mind.
That'll be great.
We recolored my car in the off season. My car was black, and we went to a white base. And let me just tell you what a task it is to color over white on a black car. Let me just tell you the nooks and the crannies and the everything. It was something else. But you guys, I'm sure, saw pictures of it and stuff like that by now. But it came out pretty good. So I just wanted to throw that in there with the black car comment. Mine was black, and boy, it was tough. So it's almost like painting cabinets. I did that once. I'm not sure I'd do it again. So
I know what you mean.
They had a full field of modified. All the regulars were there. A couple of the people that moved up from the other division had their cars there. There was a lot of legend cars. And how many? Josh's favorite division, the late model division. How many late models think they had there, Josh?
Please tell me they had 10.
It's 1.
Yeah. What was it?
Oh, really? No. Well, we got there are some tire issues going on. I know with the Legends, especially. I've seen some posts.
Yeah, I saw some of the Legend guys complaining on social media, as of where you probably saw too. I asked my brother, and my brother said he had no problem buying tires. So I'm sure it's not all divisions. I didn't hear any modified guys crying, but they might have had tires left over. I didn't hear anybody per se.
Well,
than-
some of these guys, it's they're not as picky as they used to be. Maybe they're not stacking tires like they used to, and they had to go to that stack in the corner of their shop and maybe pull one out that's scuffed. So maybe the tire snobs aren't out so much. So.
Yeah.
But
And
um,
Stafford also ran it this past weekend, and I didn't hear anything about there being a tire problem there either. So I don't know. But
right.
and if it hasn't trickled down to the modified yet, I'm not sure. On the asphalt, and I don't know about the dirt. And I just wanted to say, I think this is going to be a good year for. I think the modified is going to be a lot of Jimmy's not going to be there that often because he's running full time on the tour for Tommy Baldwin and doing some other things on the side of that and some dirt car racing. I think besides Andrew, if Andrew decides he's going to run the whole season or not, it's up for grabs. And who's going to, I don't think there's going to be one dominating car over this year. It's going to be interesting. So,
the seasons are long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of racing to do at Wall. That's one of those things where you're there every Saturday, working. So
that's half the battle. That's definitely half the battle.
Running every race, I'm running for points this year at Egypt, and you got to show up and race every.
Yeah, that's half the battle,
and that's tough. So you're right.
My point being, Kyle Sisko looked very well in the Ferrera's car. Stevie Reed got going about halfway through the day. He got going good. Tommy Martino was there. He was going around good. And the O'Shea factory stock division is going to be really tough this year, I think. There was a lot of good cars there already in practice. Of course, Scott was there. AJ was there. He looked really good. He looked really good. Kevin Flores looked really good. And, of course, the O'Shea kid, he runs very well. He looked real good.
How'd Elliot Wall look?
Elliot was doing good. Yeah, Elliot was doing
got a
good.
Car, yeah.
And Elliot's, he had built or had bought or purchased and revamped a secondary car. And
yeah, he told me that when I was talking to him about some vinyl and stuff recently. So I was curious to see what that was all about. So.
His buddy Jeff Green, who works for Elliot, he took it out. He's an old school racer. He raced back in the day when they used to race the bigger wheelbase cars and into the new division. And I have to give him credit for being one of the old guys out there. He got it around a lot better than I thought he did. So
good for him. Good. Excited to see how he does as the season starts.
Yeah, good for him. He didn't forget that much, and he didn't lose that much behind the wheel. He can still be competitive. So I just wanted to say
that's
that.
like riding a bike for an old school guy like that. You can never take the racer out of a racer. So
he was doing good. And as far as the sportsman division, it's going to be interesting because some of the guys have moved up and some of them haven't. I think Neil Rutz this is probably his year to do good if he runs the whole season in that. I think he's ready to run for the whole season if he's got the money. And I don't know, the Di Tommaso kids, I'm not 100% sure what they're doing. They had both wall cars there and modifieds there, so I'm not sure what they're doing as far as points. But my point being, it's going to be an interesting year. Everything looks like it's set in place. Everything's ready to go. So it was a good day at the track.
Sounds good. It'll be an exciting season. Like I said, a lot of racing to happen at Wall this season.
Let's just hope the weather plays in our favor this year.
Yeah, I know. The weather can be tough, but even when you do catch a couple tough weather events, yeah.
The forecast is good for this weekend, I believe.
It does look pretty good, and it's even looking better than it had in the last couple of days, so that's exciting. Obviously, Saturday nights are the nights all over to go racing in the Northeast. There's a couple Friday series and there's some Sunday series here and there.
Just make sure you bring
Sunday series. Yeah,
I was saying, just make sure you bring a hoodie. That's all.
Oh yeah,
at this time of year, right? Can you believe we're going into May or we're wearing gloves?
I think it's supposed to get down to like 36 tonight here.
Tonight, as we speak during this podcast, where I live, we're in a frost warning for tonight. So.
That's going to clobber everybody's flowers and bushes that were coming back. So that'll be fun. We're going to look like shit this year. So All right, so Josh, what about those quarter midgets we were talking about? Did you say you have some results?
Yeah. So this is for April 24th. The Garden State Quarter Midget Racing Club. We have the Red Rookie A Main. We have Emma Leonard, Hunter Morante, and Kevin Coleman. And let me, I got to bring this list down to the screen closer to my eyes. Then we have the Junior Animal A Main, Brody Gialinella, Landon Ferris, and Luke Thomas. The Senior Animal A Main, Dexter Niemi, Anthony Kane, Cole Ferris. The Junior Honda A Main, Buddy Gialinella, Sean Cecily, Luke Thomas, Pierce Weinberger, Molly Coleman, and Colin Buca. The Senior Honda A Main, Anthony Kane, Mason White, Dexter Niemi, Jake Mullen, Cole Ferris, Brody Loesch. The Heavy Honda A Main, we have Danny Schenk, Justin Ferris, Bo Loesch, Danica Weinberger, Shannon Schwartz. Then we have the Light 160 A Main. We have Jojo Leonardo, Ryan Patterson, Anthony Kane, and Jake Mullen. The Heavy 160 A Main, we have Brandon Sullivan, Danny Shank, Justin Ferris, Shannon Schwartz, and Thomas Schwartz. Then, rounding out everything, we have the World Formula A Main, Brandon Sullivan, Jojo Leonardo, Ryan Patterson, Thomas Schwartz, and Matthew Kovacs.
Could you imagine being a parent, and once you get into quarter midget racing, where in the hell do you know what cart you're racing, let alone motor, heavy, light?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Josh, so Tim, is this what you race with your daughters?
No,
is that the divisions?
I wouldn't go down there and race if you paid me to go down there and race. No, we race
Josh, tell us a little bit briefly about what are the big differences. First of all, I heard a lot of common names up through those, so it sounds like there's a lot of multi-divisional racing. A couple of those different classes, I heard you repeat a lot of names.
Yeah, but,
what about those cars? Tell us a little bit about them. They're little carts. They're quarter midgets, obviously.
Yeah, it's. They almost sound like lawnmowers. When you hear them go, they're moving. They move quick. Now, they. I'm not going to make fun of them. I'm just saying they sound like lawnmowers. But they have roll cages and so they look kind of like a cart, kind of like a TQ.
Midget.
Yeah.
They're supposed to look like a midget.
Yeah.
They're called quarter midgets.
But, all right, so it's entry level, open wheel, wheeling. So
it's just confusing. There's so many divisions.
Yeah.
This and that.
Honestly, that reminds me of over at Englishtown when with the karting, the WKA. And that group, Eric Graham works over there a lot, flagging and, all sorts of, I think he gets involved with everything, honestly. But he actually got to start racing with karts over there. But I remember they were racing one day and they let me run one of their karts, but I just ran in a different division, that the cart kind of fit.
Right.
So I guess it's like, well, if you fit these rules, you can also run with this, but maybe you're just doing it more for practice or just for the hell of it.
Go out there, no points, or you know what I mean. You don't get the finish, the big money, so to say, if you finish up front.
Yeah, exactly. I can, as long as I can sort of stay with the field in this division, but it's not the main division I'm running. At least I get some practice time or something. I don't know.
Right. As long as you're not getting run over in the way. So,
yeah. As long as you're not causing a problem, I don't think anybody's against them getting more practice. It's a cool little. At Little Wall is a cool little track. There's some banking to it. It's Little Wall.
And that's got to be fun. Look, everything's amplified. Everything scales. And when you're little, that's fast. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
These kids are having fun. You know what I mean?
If you watch
guys like us, we got to be going fast. But when you're little like that, that's fast, man, and that's how you get kids racing by running around tracks like that.
Honestly, if you watch videos of it, they are moving pretty darn quick, and those cars
they wreck pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They go over just like the big ones.
I've seen that. I've never seen any racing there, but the times I've gone up and helped Scott and Nancy up there, we're always walking by that, and we park in the back there, so it looks fun. So this looks like
it's
I went the other route. I went the route where the girls are on the track where there's a lot of room. Not just a little room. There's a lot of room out with the big track. So.
Oh yeah, well yeah. You have that whole escape lane.
Yeah. So, a lot easier on equipment.
On the inside of wall. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
There's a problem. You just bail out on the big track.
There's
a lot of room.
Yeah.
Honestly, and even you don't even have to go that far. It's just that flat part is wide, which is
plenty of room. You know what I mean? Plenty of room to hang it wide and with the heat.
The racing
groove and try and carve the turn.
The racing groove is thin, but there's a lot of bailout area.
Yeah. So you have room. In case of emergency.
Yeah. Which I don't know if you know, Josh. They announced that they're working on. I don't know if it's set in stone or not, or if it's just still talk on No More Sunday. They're going to allow, I think it's 12 to 14 or 14.
Oh, with the 4 cylinders?
On the bottom. So that should be interesting.
That's a new class. I heard something about that, right? So it's the Hornets, but no experience than basically a rookie class, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's a good it's a good way to step, and get a feel for the bigger cars. I mean, I guess the power doesn't necessarily translate the same as going into like a sportsman or something like that, but
no, but you get to start turning some hot laps. You know what I mean? You're not. You got some real horsepower compared to some of those smaller cars. I guess it's a good evolution for drivers.
You get a good feeling for that whole extra couple feet to the right of you. That it's not just the wheels there anymore. Now there's you got to make room for that.
Situational awareness, we'll call that.
Yeah.
On the track, and that's important. You know what I mean? Because you can't. I guess you rather run mirrors on pavement. So. But you really got to listen when you're racing too, and
oh yeah,
and they
hear what's going on around you. So
they also announced that they're going to have to run receivers and transponders in the Sunday series now.
Oh boy! So what were you running prior instead of a transponder?
They were just doing it by eye.
Oh, carefully measured up by eye. Got it.
When there's only 3 or 4 cars in the division, it's really not that hard.
No.
Well, that's a bummer. But what is nice though, when you go get one, I don't know if you have one or you use one, but like the X2 transponder, depending on which one you get, you get your lap times and you can download the data. And you can drill down. More importantly, you want to see what other people did. You can look at other people's detailed data too if you have the subscription. Which is nice. A lot of people didn't know that about the X2. You have an X2 subscription, you get everybody's data. So
if you if you take the time, take the time and effort, you can and you have a camera on board. You can look at each lap and say, all right, this lap I took this line, or I did you can analyze what you did different and see how that correlates to your lap time and whatnot. Which is, again, it depends on how far you want to take it, but the information is there. So
it's important for a guy like me. Look, I'm an accountant in real life, and I'm a numbers guy. So I'm like, numbers, and and I'm focusing on racing enough that where I can go look at those lap times, and remember, this is when I was running by myself. This is that early on. Obviously, the track comes in a little bit. We got to run a 20 lapper this past Saturday. That was nice. They gave us an extra couple laps.
Joe, when you say you're an accountant, is that your secret terminology for just saying you have an OnlyFans?
That's close, Josh.
Okay.
It's pretty close. But probably what I said is closer to accurate. So somewhere in between, we'll say. So let's just say, I do, a lot of accounting work.
Okay.
During the year. So
you have a lot of
basically a lot
customers
related stuff. So and I have a lot of fans.
Okay.
A lot of good fans. But I had they're in the hundreds.
Okay.
But they come back to me every year, so it's nice. So,
Good. Repeat business.
It works out pretty good. They get enough. If I see them once a year, they get enough of me. They come back next year. So it works out pretty good. So nice and structured. So.
Good.
All right. So that being said, let's not go too far there. We don't want to go too personal here. This is a racing podcast here, not a interview, so to say. Let's go dirt racing real quick. How's that, guys? Does that sound
absolutely?
Like fun?
Yeah. Let's hit the dirt.
Yeah. Let's hit the dirt for a while. Me, dirt racing near and dear to my heart. I run at Egypt. I run a street stock there. Been having fun so far this season. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's go through real quick. Let's talk about opening night over there. Obviously, the big boys, the modifieds, are the ones that we want to take a look at.
It was cold that night, right?
It has been cold the last couple nights racing up there. It's just that, just like Wall, you get up on a ridge and the sun goes away and the clouds are out. And it's just windy and it's cold and your racing isn't a short day. It doesn't matter when your feature is. By the time you get your day there and you're at the track unloaded, being outside in that, you're right, it gets cold. So
especially if you've had the sun in your face all day and then you get that that chill once it goes down.
Yeah, well, right at the end of the day when you're used to being warm in the sun. Crowds were pretty good up there, Tim. A track like Egypt really doesn't come in until the weather really gets nice. It's a fair weather crowd.
As a guy an outsider looking in, I don't want to see any racetrack fail, especially one in New Jersey, especially one in like New Egypt that has history in both asphalt and dirt racing. I heard they haven't really been doing that great with the crowd, and if you got no crowd, you got no business. So I'm just hoping that it gets better over there.
I am too. It's the middle end of last season. The crowds are really good. They don't pack the house over there, but I'll tell you what, the car counts there have been real good. And that brings helps. People. There are the opening night. There were so many modifieds there. I couldn't even believe it. We're sitting there. The hot laps took like an hour and a half. There were so many mods and sportsmen there, which was kind of nice. So let's talk about that real quick. We'll just kind of go through the results real quick opening night, and then we'll talk about who's been taking some wins over there. They've been out 4 nights, so we'll cover that real quick. So modifieds, their feature was a 40-lapper. Brandon Grasso, the 32G car, finishing up front. Danny Buck, local guy to me over here in Pennsylvania. Justin Grasso in 3rd, Richie Pratt, and then Anthony Tramontana finishing out in 5th there in the modifieds. That was a pretty good race. I was there to watch that one. Always exciting, especially when they run those 40 lappers, those long modified races. It's modifieds really aren't a battle of attrition ever, but the longer the feature, the harder the racing goes, and some fun stuff happens. So that was a pretty good race to watch. That was the modifieds. Let's talk about the 4-cylinders real quick too. That's always a fun 4-cylinders, just like over at Wall, guys. 4-cylinder class is really growing. Started 15 4-cylinders on that opening night, which was pretty exciting. That's a pretty good car count.
Oh yeah,
for an entry level class, at a dirt track. But excuse me, it's fun to watch. Full disclosure, my Penns Park Racing teammate Tim Jones runs that series. So we'll just get that out of the way. No favoritism or nothing like that here, but just wanted to mention that real quick. So the feature was fun to watch. The Garys dominated. No shocker there. Those guys really know how to build and run 4-cylinder cars. Joe Gary Jr. finished 1st, his dad 2nd. Chris Gall in the 5 car finished 3rd. Ed Ford in the 56X 4th. And then I don't know who the 44 car is, and it doesn't have a name. So congratulations to whoever you are in that 44 car. I should know, but I don't. We'll mention you next time. Somebody remind me. Send me an email. Send it to my OnlyFans.
That's your lesson to get your name fixed on the transponder.
That's right. Register properly.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about proper registration here in a minute, why that's important for my race this last Saturday. But it worked out pretty good, that story. So I'll talk about that here in a minute. All right. So that the crate race, let's talk about that real quick because those guys always have a nice car count. This website I'm looking at. All right, crates, the feature. Paul Hartwig in the 73. I think that's Paul Hartwig the third, the young kid.
That was
kid, I think.
No, that was Junior that won that. He went out because he hadn't been out in a car in a while, and
Okay, so
what division was that?
That was a crate mod over at Egypt.
Yes, yeah, no, that was Junior.
Okay, so
I don't think Little Paul is old enough to race in New Jersey yet.
No, okay, all right. So so I didn't know I know the Hartwigs were focusing on the youngest now, the third or the
this
kid or something
mostly
like that.
It's mostly been the third lately, but Junior took that ride out, and
okay.
Every once in a while he likes to get out and have a little fun. So.
Well, sure. Why not? If you have race cars, dirt cars sitting around, why wouldn't you? I mean, especially when you can finish up front like that. So congratulations to Paul for going out and having fun and finishing up front, especially in a tough class like crate mods over at Egypt. There's a lot of guys that run that, and have a ton of fun. So Paul Hartwig, the 73 car finishing up front. Dan Fleming, 17F. Second place, Ryan Simmons in the 20 car. Third, Chris Lilac, we'll call him Lilac. In the 7 car, fourth, and then Justin Grosso in the J24. Those Grossos dominate up there. They really have some nice equipment, nice haulers, nice everything. And there's some association with them in the track up there too, or history with it. So congratulations to all those guys. It was a pretty fun night to be up there racing. And then let's not forget about the rookies. There's a bunch of guys. There's 6 or 7 guys running up there in the rookie modified class.
Okay.
The first night was fun, and a friend of mine, Don Antonelli, is running up there. Moved up from 4 cylinders to modifieds, and he just got his first win this past weekend. So congratulations to him. We'll talk about that here in a sec. But so the rookie feature that night, Dave Milazar, the 32 car first, Mike Baldwin in the 2 car or the 10 car. And second, the N08, another one without any name. Congratulations to whoever you are in third place. Logan Starr, fourth, and then Dom Antonelli, 5th place there. So that was a fun night to be up there. Egypt made a couple changes this year. A little bit of a mix. I don't know if they did the whole racing surface, but I heard some mixed stuff. But there's some new dirt up there to keep the dust down, I guess. And a little bit of a banking change. I think we picked up some banking over there.
Okay.
And Egypt has traditionally been a pretty flat track, a driver's track, so to say. But I think we picked up some banking there.
I won't say no to that.
No, banking. When you're turning left, banking helps anywhere. I don't care what track it is. Make it like Daytona, make it Talladega.
A little more.
Wall.
Keep going. Keep going.
That's right. Yeah. Like Bristol. Well, Bristol isn't too bad when they put dirt over it. So at any rate, so that's New Egypt. I just wanted to mention opening night. A couple of the other things that have been happening over there. Again, I'm at Egypt every Saturday night. That's where I spend my Saturdays. If I'm not racing my street stock up there, which I've had out twice, my teammate Tim Jones, he's out racing his 4-cylinder. His season has been a little bit of a slow start with some motor issues. Then an early contact racing incident with somebody else in his second outing. So we got some catching up to do on points, but he runs up front, and we can't wait to do that. I've been doing all right. I finished 10th in my first after an early spin that sent me to the back. I drove back up a couple. And then this past Saturday, of course, I picked up a 5th place finish in that feature where we started. I think 17 cars we started. So that was pretty good for me. I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no, take it. Top 5.
Yeah, we'll take it. Top 5 is a top 5. We got some work to do to really get up front there, but we know what we have to do. And I just got to focus on driving the car and then chasing a little bit of time here and there.
It's still early. You got plenty of time.
That's right. There's a lot of racing to do everywhere. But now I don't race every Saturday night. I race every other. So my schedule is half on the racing side,
Right.
but doesn't relieve me from my track duties, so to say. I still got to go to the track.
Yeah.
Unless there's unless there's a really an important life event. My wife knows not to really plan anything on Saturday nights. That's a no-no in the summer. Unless somebody, if somebody dies, I'll think about it. But we'll go from there.
Oh yeah.
But so that's that. The modified point standings. Brandon Grasso standing up top. He's got 3 stars by his name. That means 3 wins so far this season. So he's dominating up there. Danny Buck sitting second in points up there in the modifieds. No wins yet, but Danny Buck, real hard charger, real good team. A good friend of mine, Tommy Tanner, he works for that team up at the track on their track nights, and he really knows what he's doing. He's got a season championship under his belt, and I think a crate modified, but notice what he's doing, and he's from that Tanner racing family, who really knows what they're doing when it comes to racing. Timmy Tanner, actually, I think there's another Tanner racing the sprint cars this year, so. So at any rate, Cale Ross in 3rd place, Anthony Tramontana in 4th, and then David Van Horn in 5th place in the modified points. Great points. Ryan Simmons got a star next to his name, 1st place. Chris Lilac, 2nd place. Another local guy to me, a bunch of racing shops over my way. Joe Toth, he's got a star next to his name in 3rd place from a point standpoint. Nick Van Winkle, he's got a star, 4th place, and then Paul Hartwig, he's got a star, 5th place. So that's kind of cool looking at a top 5 in points. A lot of different winners. That means there's probably a lot of fun racing going on up there, and there sure is because I get to watch them. So that's always fun. You got the wingless sprints. I didn't cover their results from the opening night, but we will at some point. We'll do some detailed coverage on them. We got Mick D. Agostino in 1st place. He's got 2 stars next to his name. Heidi Hayden, she's got a star next to her name in 2nd. And then Rich Malore, he's sitting in 3rd place. Street stocks. Of course, I race that class. I don't get to say my name unless I go deep into the field, but I'll keep it consistent. We got Vern McLaughlin. He's got a star next to his name. He's got a real fast car. He's in 1st place. Bill Lika, he picked up his first win in a couple years, and I forget what it was. I was watching the replay from Dirt Track Digest, and that was like his 40th or 41st win or something, and it was a big one for him. He, back in racing. So he's got a star next to his name. Brian Ludwig in 3rd place. Spider Enzinger the 3rd. So that's Spider Jr.'s kid, running one of their cars. He's relatively new to dirt racing. I was talking to him after the race. He and I got together. We were discussing and nothing big, just talking about it. Mm-hmm. But he really runs pretty good. And, I was behind him. He finished in 4th. I finished in 5th. And boy, that kid can drive. So I'm excited to see how he evolves. And then Gary Klimzak in 5th place. Funny story about Gary. I met Gary about a year ago. I bought a roller street stock, a twin to Lee Allen's car that he's running now.
Okay.
From my friend Derek. And it was a red roller, we called it. You might have seen pictures of it, Josh, on social media back then. And we were gonna build a street stock. We had this great chassis and we were gonna do it. And then I started thinking about it, and I started doing parts lists, and accountant does the spreadsheet, and I'm adding it up, and I'm going, I'm buying a street stock at this point, that whole. So I put this thing up, and I talked to Gary. He wound up picking it up. He gave me half of my asking price, and he gave me a set of Vortec heads. That it just came out of a speed shop or whatever. And I took a look at them, and they looked like they'd been cleaned up. So it was a good deal. The heads wound up being good. And he really transformed that car. He wound up pitting next to me my first outing, and he pulls in, and I didn't recognize it at first. And the guy that I bought the car from, Derek, he was like, "That's your car. That's your old car right there, man." I couldn't even believe it. So the guy transformed this red roller into this beautiful looking street stock, a Camaro like I have, found and hung an old body on it. So it's got the Gen 2 lines and stuff like that. So interesting story about Gary there. That's how I met him, and he really fixed up a nice car. So, and he was going to run at Bridgeport, but they made a last-minute engine change this year that really allowed some more horsepower, and that's why we're starting 16, 17 street stocks up at Egypt, and they're starting 6 or 7, 8 down at Bridgeport. So
okay.
That's what's going on with that. So 4-cylinder points. You got Justin Dunn up front. He's got 2 stars next to his name. No shocker there. The Dunn boys and the dad, they got it all figured out when they go racing. They really do. They just, they run the cab. We run the same, the J body, the Cavi chassis. You just, once you figure it out, they really just run good. That's the dominator up there. You got Joe Gary Jr. second, Joe Gary Sr. third, Ed Ford fourth, and then Isaac Elsner in fifth, who I don't recognize him. He must be new up there this year. I'll have to ask Tim about him, and I'll report back to you guys next time on some of these names that I don't really recognize and don't mention.
Okay.
And I'll try and highlight some of the other drivers and stuff like that as we talk about it and learn a little bit about them. So rookie points, Dave Milazar Jr., he's got 2 stars next to his name. Logan Starr, he's got a star next to his name in second. And then, of course, my buddy Dom Antonelli, he's got a star next to his name. He's in third place. He got a big win this last Saturday night. Like I said before, Dom came up. He raced 4 cylinders over at Egypt for a long time. He might have even raced at Wall. But he was really digging hard. He went up the modifieds this year, had a real tough start. And then last week, his third race, he started the race strong, and we were like, holy shit, where is that Don in the car? Or did somebody else jump in? So he really took off, and he got some setup help, and he went out and won his first one. So congrats to Dom. Now I pit next to Dom too, so I get to really watch their program close, and I really watched them evolve and really quote unquote go racing, so to say. And they really, they figured it out. And of course, going to get the win up there, that's exciting for them. And that's a, good morale booster for a team.
Oh yeah.
So congrats to Dom on his move up. So that's good for them. So that's kind of what's going on up at Egypt. Like I said, it's been pretty good. Of course, let's do food coverage at Egypt. We have to cover food at all the tracks. I think if we know about it, we should mention it. So sausage sandwiches, they're good up there.
I haven't been in a while, but I always like their cheesesteaks.
So here's the thing. So we don't have the expanded menu in the pits anymore. It's only up in the grandstands. Yeah. So we, I'm not sure what the decision was there. But if I was making decisions like that, I wouldn't have done that. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't make those decisions clearly because that food is not in the pits. But I think that's all that stuff's still available up where the general grandstands are.
Okay.
But good sausage sandwiches. We'll point those out. Everybody seems to like those. I brought my friend Bub up with me this weekend. And he's a picky guy. If he says they're good, they're good. So
okay,
we'll say that. So that's what's going on up at Egypt again. I race there. I hang out there, so got a good beat on what's happening up there. The track's fun. It's fast. Like I said, we picked up some banking. It's a fun track to drive. It's got that. I don't even know what you call it. The Tri-D oval dirt.
Oh yeah.
There's a name for it out there. So it's a fun track to drive. I really enjoyed it. You really could drive. It's pretty wide, so to driving wise, there are 2.5 lanes or so. Maybe there's more. I don't know. I don't get yelled at by any of these purists and stuff, but it's fun. I have a lot of fun up there racing, and I think that they, Tim, back to what you said. I know that the crowd's got light, and there's been some incidents with some drivers and some DQs that cost people seasons and stuff, and I think, and we talked about this in that long podcast we did back earlier in the year. I think there were some changes made, I think, and stuff like that. So I don't think stuff like that will really happen again. And I think everything's spelled out expectation-wise and stuff like that now. So, but we'll see what happens. I will, of course, let you guys know how we're doing up there throughout the season, how the crowds look, how the racing goes, and, of course, how I'm making out up there. Hopefully we're hoping for a good run up there. So
hopefully as long as we stay more regular here, then we'll get regular
Well, yeah,
updates.
you know what? Nothing would excite me more than coming on here and talking about my win, and we have to do it right away. So let's just be ready every week in case it happens.
Okay.
So,
All right. You got
failing
it.
to plan is planning to fail, Josh. So,
Yeah.
right. So let's be realistic here. So, all right. So let's go. Let's head south down to Bridgeport and see what's going on down there. Their big night was the Kingdom of Speed weekend. That's how they open it up. This is a non-points event, but it's a big one because it's the first one.
Right.
They open it strong. A lot of people show up, so that's always fun. So let's talk about the Crate Sportsman. Wayne Weaver and the Zero car finishing first. Tom Sherby in the 257. Second, Tom Moore Jr. Third, Brian Propst in the 11 car fourth, and Jordan Justice. Boy, that's a racing name right there, isn't it? Jordan Justice, I like that. He's in the 94 car. He finished fifth. So that's your top five in the crates. The sprint cars were down at Bridgeport on that weekend, and these were the Mid-Atlantic sprint cars. These were the wings. I think, those are the winged guys. These are 310 cars, I think, or 305 sprints, and they get around Bridgeport pretty good. 14.969 lap times.
Wow.
That's what John Scarborough did in the 61 car who finished. That's a sub 15-second lap time ripping around Bridgeport is just fast. Larry McVeigh in the 83K car. He's second place. Rory Janney in the 88. Got the 88 rolling in the third place. Tim Blog in the 19 car fourth, and Jeff Paulson in the 16 car. He's finishing fifth. Just to give you a difference, I mean, and sprint cars, the top guys are usually pretty tight. They all get the track figured out. They get the gearing figured out, and they're all pretty close in motor. But you're looking at like almost a 4/10 gap.
Wow.
Between your first and fifth place finisher. That's how fast. That's just from a relative standpoint. So that's pretty fast for that John Scarborough to be getting around that track. So congratulations to him for really ripping it. That's fast. Really is. Let's see street stocks. Let's see how they did in their feature. Lee Allen, my buddy, who's helped me out, been a mentor to me racing for a couple years, finishing first in the 98B car. That's a really nice looking car. I don't know if you must have seen it on social media, but just a real sharp looking car. And clearly a fast one.
We should mention about Lee Allen, his crew guy, Ray, passing away.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? You're right, Josh. So that was somebody who's been a part of Lee's racing family, and then by extension, of course, his personal family for some time. And he did
as long as I can remember, yeah.
Right. I haven't known Lee I've known Lee for, I'm going to say, probably 5 years at this point.
Okay.
From racing. But of course, that's the instant brotherhood in racing. You know what I mean? You can go from, zero to brothers from other mothers in a minute in racing.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
That's, just because, hey, everybody needs all the help they can get when it comes to racing. So
that's true.
But I haven't known Lee that long, but I did know he was a part of, again, his racing family, and his personal family for some time. So we're sorry to hear about that, Lee. So our hearts go out to you and your family, and his too.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Josh. Yep. We had talked about that, and that is important to say. So circling back, still at Bridgeport here, the 98B Lee Allen, he's finished first. Kyle Saylor in the 14 car, he sailed into second place. Mike Hughes third. TJ Henry, there's a guy who is always racing at Bridgeport and always finishing up towards the front. He finished fourth. And then Mike Creamer in the 10 car, he finished fifth. So a couple of those guys, of course, we recognize Hughes and TJ and Allen. Kyle Saylor, I think I might have heard him, but maybe not. And then Mike Creamer, he's a new guy down there. So always exciting to maybe see some names you don't recognize finishing up front. That means guys are getting better or they're new. So that's kind of fun. So let's see. There's a couple other ones that race there, but unfortunately I'm on Race Monitor and I don't have the results. The 4 cylinders. Yeah, the four cylinders just did some hot laps. They were practice. But my teammate Tim Jens was down there shaking his car down. He had the fastest hot lap. All right, so that's it for the opening night coverage. There, some of the results are missing, the speedsters and stuff, unfortunately. So, let's talk about some points down at Bridgeport. And this is going to kind of segue into something else. I'm about to mention the pouch name here, and there's been some controversy surrounding that name. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute as soon as I get done these points.
Yep.
So the Danny's Pizza Pizzazz Modifieds. Billy Pouch Jr. in the 96 car, he's sitting at the top of the points. And, of course, we know he switched to Bridgeport after some of that controversy I talked about a couple minutes ago at Egypt. So he's racing down there now. He picked up he's sitting first. Doesn't have any stars next to his name, though. But I'm sure that's bound to change.
Give it time.
Richie Pratt Jr. Yeah, give it time. A lot of racing to do. And still a lot of opportunities to put stars next year and in this season, sure. Richie Pratt Jr. in second. Ryan Godown Sr., he's got 2 stars next to his name. He's third in points. Joe Watson on the 30 car, he's sitting fourth in points. And then looks like Neil Williams tied with Joe in the 0 car for fourth. They both have 128 points. So obviously some names that we know, all names that we know there. Street stocks, Mike Hughes, he's got 2 stars next to his name in the 18 car, sitting first in points. Kyle Saylor second. Jeff Dirks, he's got a star next to his name in the 6 car in third. Lee Allen, my buddy there in the 98B car. He had a real strong start to the season, and then I think he had some carb issues and stuff like that. So he's got some catching up to do, but that's bound to happen. Lee finishes up front if he's not winning. So he's sitting fourth in points.
If he doesn't win, he's gonna fix whatever it was and come back and win.
Yeah, he really will. Lee has been racing a long time. I mean, and he's just one of those guys. You know, he raced my car last year against his brother at Bridgeport. My factory stock. I brought it down there and let him run it. And him and his brother went out and had just a bare knuckle brawl out there of just some good back and forth racing. And it was pretty fun to watch. It was my last ditch effort. I was never able to get that old factory stock into victory lane before I sold it. And I knew it was on the chopping block. So, you know, who better to hire than Lee Allen to go send that factory stock. And you know, boy, I believe we would have done it. But right as he was going out, we saw that we had broken some exhaust. I have a little unloading issue where it hits my dovetail, and we kind of broke the exhaust off. So I think we were missing some horsepower, but it was still fun to watch. And the crowd sure loved it, watching 2 brothers duke it out. So that was fun. 4 cylinders, Chris Carroll, he's first. He's got a star next to his name. Ed Ford in the 56X car, he's second. Joe Gary Sr., there's the Garys. So because we race back and forth every other night, some of these crazy guys, they take their 4 cylinders back and forth and they run both tracks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and you know, that's still some hard racing, you know, even though we're not running big, long features. We still, that's wear and tear on those vehicles. So Joe Gary Sr.,
those short sprints they're not lazy enduro, and long, pace yourself thing. It's
no, these guys are really winding these Ecotech motors up, and that's what all these guys have. They're, like I mentioned, the Cabby, the J body platform. They run the Ecotech motors, and and it's no secret. There's all kinds of stuff that these guys do: the bolt-on, the cold air, this, and the bunch of stuff that's legal to do, or you can eke out another double-digit something horsepower,
right.
15 whatever horsepower. It just kind of gives you the edge. And then of course you got to know how to drive those cars that want to push like a dump truck, because you're ripping into one of those turns and you got to drive it out. So it's a combination of both. So Joe Gary Sr., he's got a star next to his name in 3rd place, so he's racing both. And then Chris Gall, he's in 4th place. And then I want to throw a shout out to my buddy Bobby Johnson, who is he's in 5th place. Bob Johnson, he's running back and forth. He lives right on the Bridgeport property.
Oh, wow.
If you're turning into the Bridgeport pit, that house that's right on the right there, he lives right there. So how cool is that he doesn't even need to load it up to go. He literally drives his race car over and has his wife come over and pick him up, and he rides back over on a bike or something. So, that would be convenient. So
yeah, I mean, God, your parts trailer is Right there.
Yep, it's right there. So that's what's going on out of Bridgeport. I will be doing some racing down there this year. I'm excited. I'm going to be one of those crazy guys. I'm going to go down for that 10,000 to win in street stocks at the end of the year. But I do want to try and get there for a race or two to figure the track out clearly before I go down and send it for the big one. But I have a couple nights off this summer where I think I might travel down there, and I've raced there before. I've had my my old Monty, my factory stock down there when they used to have the 8-cylinder races. They used to let the enduro guys from Pennsylvania come over and put on a show, but not really too many guys can do the Jersey safety rules anymore, especially not the Pennsylvania guys, where safety just isn't a big priority in Pennsylvania, Josh and Tim. I don't know if you knew that, but you can go racing with a jean jacket and you can tie a scarf up real tight, and that'll be your neck brace. So.
Yeah. In my experience, they were more concerned about my mirror than safety.
Well, yeah, you can't bring no mirrors on dirt, Josh. That's cheating.
No, it was asphalt. It was snow. It was snow.
It was a snow race.
Yeah.
Well, that's cheating with those mirrors. You Jersey cheaters, with your mirrors and.
Yeah. God forbid I not.
Do you have a lane departure electronics and?
I honestly, that would be awesome.
That's a little arrows. There's a guy next to you.
Yeah.
Don't change your line. Don't change your line.
Exactly.
An auto spotter. We don't say that because then Tim will be out of a job here. So. We don't want to put him out of work. So no auto spotters. So, all right. So that's what's going down at Bridgeport. Those are the two kind of big dirt tracks. Grandview, they were able to get one race in. Their first two openers got rained out. That's kind of a bummer, especially for a track like Grandview. Mm-hmm. Those are always big nights up there. Having raced there, not on their Saturday night series, but I did race their Outlaw Enduro series for a number of years, which was a Sunday series, is now a Friday night series. I think they did that to help Sunday. I think really, and you guys will agree with me, racing on Sundays is really left for the kids this year, and really all years. That's Saturday nights for the dads, Sunday for the kids. That seems to be when all of those events happen. So
right.
I think that's why they went to a Friday night series over there. But Von Doren picked up the win. A name that we know. Strunk, he came in second in an 88Z car, and then Mike Wazowski, he was third place in his 15 car. So that's how the mods finished. They run no street stocks up there, no traditional stock cars up there. They run 3 different mod classes. So the sportsman points, or sportsman finish, I should say. Brian Herfler, he finished first. Jim Leedy second, and Jesse Landis third. And then they run a crate 602 sportsman. So between the different tracks, generally the sportsman, if there's a sportsman and a crate sportsman at a track, then I think it's an RPM issue or maybe some motor work that you're allowed to do. But so they also run a crate 602 sportsman, which is just your standard crate motor, usually provided or sealed by the track. Dylan Hotch finished in first, Mike Storm second, and then Jim Levy again. Okay, so he finished third. So he must have.
I think that's where Paul Hartwig was racing, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Did he go up to Grandview? Let me see. So he would have been racing a crate car. I don't see his name up here. So maybe he's planning on going up there, or maybe he was going to go up there and he got rained out, because they did have 2 rainouts to try and start their season, which is kind of a bummer. But that's racing, as you guys well know. The weather can or cannot be your friend. Yeah, I don't see his name up here, Tim. So he must have been planning to go, or.
Yeah, he raced somewhere a couple weeks ago. I thought it was there.
Grandview is a fun track to race on, but it's a tough track. And that track can really, especially when I was doing enduro racing, but that track can develop and it can get bumpy. And it can eat your car up and spit it out. But a lot of fun and really great track to go race on. Fast track. Fast and fun is the way to put that track. So. Did you ever race there, Josh? Your enduro car or anything?
No, I've been there. I just haven't raced there.
No. Okay.
It's I got to walk.
Have you done any dirt racing, Josh?
Yeah, I did Bridgeport a couple times.
Did you? Okay.
And then also 2 snow races.
Okay,
So.
those are fun. I just boy, it's almost too cold for me to be out snow racing. I'm a trooper, but boy, snow racing, that just doesn't sound fun. So
I loved it. I'll take the cold over the heat any day.
yeah, okay. I'm the opposite, and the older I get, I'm more and more the opposite of that.
Everybody I know wants to retire to Florida. I'd rather retire to Canada.
Off the grid. Off the grid, Josh, up in Alaska.
The one race we got to the track, it was 8 degrees. Yeah. Yeah, and then I didn't, I run a screen, which actually came in handy because they were throwing snowballs at the cars. So, yeah, it was a good thing I ran the screen.
Should have had a passenger with a paintball gun to return fire.
Yeah. Honestly,
you need a passenger gunner. That's what you need.
Yeah.
So.
Oh boy.
Okay, so that's dirt racing in the Northeast. Those kind of 3 tracks that we'll cover. Some other notable events in racing going on. There are some nonsense in NASCAR. I think somebody get arrested today for like battery or something.
Was it an ARCA driver? I think it was.
Yeah, an ARCA driver. Yeah, let's see what was his name. He got arrested for battery or something.
Something die, I think it was.
He got arrested for something he did today. Or he got arrested for something he did over the weekend.
Not sure. I think it was something he did over the weekend.
Let's see. His Daniel Dye was arrested for battery. Let's see. What was he arrested for anyway? Well, we don't need to know, but he was arrested for battery, and not the good kind of battery,
the
bad kind. And then also worth mentioning, there was a pretty ridiculous event that we all saw at this point.
Josh, what's the legal term for battery?
Assault? I don't know.
They beat somebody up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I try and that's the kind of thing that I don't want in my word of the day repertoire. Battery? What's that? I got a yellow top in my car. That's what somebody says battery to me. Yeah. I wrote a yellow top. What do you run?
He's a driver?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a driver. So, and then also the other ridiculous social media event that if you're on racing social media, you saw this is the one where the driver decided to start attacking the track crew, which I just can't even fathom. That to me is just beyond ridiculous. I don't even know what the reason was.
Yeah,
sure
from the video I saw, I mean, it was already, the confrontation already started, and then it just escalated.
Yeah, it sure did escalate. The guy's dad running across the track, and not only look, I don't care. First off, when it comes to the track officials, they can say whatever they want to you. They can tell you suck right to your face, and you have to suck it up. You know what I mean? Because there's like a song about that. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind.
Yeah.
You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't fuck with the track officials.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. So it's just a bad thing. So and they started wailing on him, and it's just not good. And what happened to the guy? First, of course, he's going to get a lifetime ban from that track that he was racing at. But as tight knit as the racing community is every track that was close to the guy also booted the guy. So that's unfortunate for all involved down there. But of course, beyond ridiculous, something like that to happen. So,
yeah.
Anything else going on? Anybody hear anything about racing?
We had Denny Hamlin has to go through sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training. I saw that for posting some cartoon. Hey, look, in this PC world, I guess you got to be careful about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you really, look, I saw it. Look, it was funny.
I laughed.
Was it appropriate? I laughed. It was funny. Was it appropriate? I don't know. I'm not HR. Okay. Yeah. And I don't have to report to HR. And I don't have sponsors and people that expect me to be politically correct. So that's I don't disagree with Denny's opinion because the move was crazy. It was just one of those things like where what were you thinking?
Right.
But hey, but he has to go to sensitivity training, and that should be interesting.
So I didn't see what he posted, so I don't know what you're talking about. Was it a racing accident or incident?
He
yeah,
it had to do with racing.
Yeah. So Kyle Larson just made a ridiculous move where he just cut and took him out, took Denny out.
Oh, I saw that during the race.
Yeah. So he posted just was it like a South Park thing, Josh? Is that what that was from?
That was Family Guy.
Okay, yeah, one of those things, and it was just it was culturally inappropriate to him. Look, we don't want to lose our, we have a lot of corporate dollars pouring into the show, so we don't want to go there, right, Josh?
Correct.
We don't want to be culturally inappropriate here, and then we have to answer to HR, and that's just not good. So, so that's Danny. All right, so we're talking about NASCAR here a little bit. Who's been watching NASCAR? You guys been watching this year at all? Josh?
I watched the 500, and I don't think I've tuned in for a few laps here and there. I just haven't been able to stay on top of everything with.
Wait,
work.
so Josh just told me he watched the 500. I wonder does he remember that we did a podcast together on the 500?
That's how I know I watched it.
Okay, so all right. Okay, so how about you, Tim? Have you been? I know that you're pretty busy, Tim, and you're. Have you been watching any NASCAR at all?
Yeah, everything that hasn't conflicted with racing. So I've seen everything this year so far. Now is when it's going to start to conflict this coming weekend. So
right. Well, your season, your personal season opens up with your kids, and you're getting ready to go racing. Yep. So I'm sure that's exciting.
Up until this point, I try to make it a point to watch it because it's the only time I'm going to get to watch it. So
right, that's good.
I'm pretty up to date. I'm not into it as much as I used to be. It's kind of hard to explain, but like my racing, as far as watching on TV, has come full circle. Like when I first started racing with my dad, it was Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough. I've seen them all retire. I've seen where, people like Jeff Gordon I've seen their full careers now.
Yeah.
And they're retired. And the people that are out now, I really can't find an interest in any of them to watch. I'm not saying
you lose your connection with some of those drivers and brands and teams and and then brand loyalty. You know what I mean? I know guys that will, oh my God, they'll burn every memorabilia they have when a guy changes manufacturer. But he was a Chevy guy and he went to Toyota. Be like, let's get the pitchfork.
That I agree. I agree with that to a certain point, but that technology is not there anymore. It's not all a Chevy's not a Chevy. A Ford's not a Ford.
No, not at all. These are template cars. We discussed this briefly. You can build these cars ordering parts now. They're off the shelf from a manufacturer or supplier.
Yeah, back in the day when you bought the car at the car lot, you took it home, you knocked the windows out of it, you went racing. I agree 100%. But that's just and that's part of what I'm trying to say. My generation is over with.
Josh, does Tim yell at people to get off his lawn or no?
Darn kids, even
back in my generation.
Yeah,
you get off my lawn.
I'm getting old. Yeah.
I'm messing with you, Tim. So I've been watching some NASCAR. Of course, it's been fun. They've raced at a bunch of different tracks this year, and with the new car and the new chassis, it's been fun to watch. It's I think it's been good. There's been a lot of good racing. The cars, I think, are other than some parts failures and some adjustment and working out that single lug that we talked about, of course, on that podcast earlier back in the year. Racing's been good. The dirt race at Bristol was I thought was just excellent. Again, I'm a dirt guy. I race on dirt. I love it. But just seeing those guys out on dirt, doing that, and not just their feature, when you're out doing that, it's your feature. It's not the race, it's the feature. Because those guys are out running heat races.
Right.
They're out there doing their, just like we do, when we get a certain car count at our tracks. If we have 16 cars, we get heat races, and that's fun. Because usually we want to get out for hot laps. That's green, white, checkered. Sometimes they give us an extra one or two. But getting out there for a heat race and then getting to redraw or getting an auto redraw for the top starting spot, that's always fun. It got me a fourth starting spot, and then we didn't have heat races this past week, and I mentioned this a while ago at the beginning of the show. I guess one or two guys forgot to check in when they got there for the street stocks. So I'm going to call him out too, because he knows he did it. TJ Hewitt, he's my buddy on Facebook, so he won't. But he and somebody else. So we started enough cars where we should add heat races, and we went out there thinking that, hey, we're going to have a 15-lap feature, and there was a yellow towards the end of the race where they said, we wear receivers too, Tim. We talked about that. You have that equipment requirement coming up, but we wear those, and they said we're on lap 12 at this yellow. So we restarted, and I'm in my head expecting 3 laps to go. And we ripped 3 laps. You know what I mean? And as a racer, you're planning the race, and you're counting them down, and you know what's going on. And then, and I'm looking for a white flag, and it just doesn't fly. And I rip around for another lap, and I'm like, what what's going on? There's nothing going on. Everybody's running clean. I'm running in 5th. I'm by myself. Nothing's happening. I can see the guys up in front of me. There's a little bit of a gap, and we go around for another couple. So then finally the white flag comes out, and then the checkered, and then of course they gave us an extra 5 laps in the future, which would have been nice if they told us about it. Because that's just like, what's going on here? Like, am I, Groundhog Day racing or something? Am I just going to be racing in the loop here until I figure it out, or what? So it was good to get a couple extra laps in. And I had known kind of just from what was happening in the race that I was kind of by myself, so I got to try some new lines and stuff. So that's always fun in a hot lap situation or a racing situation. Where you can move around the track a little bit, try a couple things,
and and try to gauge off the guys around you.
You see you got guys like I mentioned it before, Bill Leak. He's ripping it real wide, and then you got Enzinger the third. He's running kind of a conservative. He's running up high in the straightaways, but then he's kind of going in a little lower. So you can follow those guys in their lines and see what they do. And that's kind of where I'm at with racing. I can get around the track pretty good, but I really need to find it and I need to find a bunch of small parts to make up for the speed I need. So,
right.
And that's as you guys being around racing, and then, Tim, you hang out with competitive racers and stuff like that. You find that at some point it comes in very small pieces. You can do the horsepower part, you can get the car set up right. You know what I mean? But then after that, it's there's a lot of small things that go into finding the last little piece of time you need. So.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at this point. So, and we're figuring it out. I'm running a leaf spring chassis. I'm off of a coil car, a metric chassis. So we got some, learning to do about setting up that kind of stuff. But we'll get there. Fortunately, unlike back in your day, Tim, there's a lot of good resources on the internet and stuff like that. So, there's, we joke about it, but there's YouTube videos and there's guys that talk about how, setting it up, and, I get the basics of it. So we'll get there. And like I said, I have to report back with better and better news as the season goes on with my points run at Egypt, we'll call it.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. So that's kind of that. What else are you thinking about racing,
I got
Josh?
a couple of topics to throw. One topic, Joe, before you've been on this podcast, I used to take quite a beating about never letting go of North Wilkesboro being shut down. Well, everybody on this podcast can kiss my ass because it's coming back.
I saw it's coming back.
Especially
and it's
my brother,
get...
my brother's not here. He said it would never come back. From what I got out of it, they're basically just cleaning up the track enough to get it where the fans don't fall through the stands, and they're going to let them race for a year, for a consecutive year. It's going to be, I think, the asphalt. Is the dirt first? No, the asphalt's first, and then the dirt. That's what they're doing.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
I think the asphalt's first for a month. They're going to race every division that they possibly can. My brother's already looked into it. There are dates for factory stocks down there. He's hemming and hawing about going. It's expensive. You're going to pay to go. You're going to pay to play, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you're going to be able to race your factory stock on historic North Wilkesboro.
Right.
and then
That
modify.
would be interesting to see. First
And then
off, racing is making, obviously with tracks closed, and we know that, and it's, from me and my 40s, we'll say. I remember there being a lot more tracks. I remember Flemington, so that kind of tells you when I started paying attention to racing. Tracks closed, but on the same token, tracks and racing is really it not some rip roaring comeback, but is really making a comeback. And I think you're seeing more and more people. You're seeing good car counts. So the car counts, the participation isn't falling off from a driver's standpoint, but you're seeing what we talked about: good crowds at Wall, better crowds, and it. One thing that we can't forget is that a big component of all these tracks is the digital subscriptions they sell.
Yes.
So while we may not see people in the stands, what we don't know is the 1,500 people that might have bought this thing for $10, that are also supporting. So I don't think we could, we'll never know those numbers. Those are probably closely held secrets, but I figured it was worth mentioning when we were talking about the crowd sizes there before, Tim, is that, racing's making a comeback, and tracks like you said, North Wilkesboro, that's such an iconic track that anybody who's involved in racing really recognizes that name, and appreciates it. And there are so many tracks available. Kind of off topic for a second here, but you guys must know Cletus McFarland and the Freedom Factory.
Oh yeah,
yep. Of course, everybody knows Cletus, and he bought that crazy racetrack, and boy, have those guys really come far.
That was at DeSoto Speedway.
Yeah. So they rebranded that the Freedom Factory. In fact, I helped one of my local enduro buddies over here go racing down there a couple months ago in a 4-cylinder car. We helped him get down there.
Not only did he open it back up, but he fixed it up. Well, very impressive. He put Musco lighting in there. He put all the.
Well, he did. He's a guy that really he recognized his brand, his social media brand, and translated into something in the physical world too. And he parlayed that money because the revenue that YouTubers make is really falling off. Where he has a big subscriber base and stuff like that. But the days of big YouTube dollars, they're not gone, but they're not like they used to be when you
it's like anything else.
Don't pay as much anymore. Yeah.
It's all phases.
Yeah. So he parlayed that stardom and stuff like that into a real, honest to goodness, viable business that, and beyond that, I mean, his value is almost his YouTube celebrityism, and he's been showing up on everybody else's YouTube channels these days. I mean, I'm talking farm tubers, I'm talking build tubers. This guy, he's drag racing, he's in stadium trucks. He's down in Bristol in the Hunt the Front guy's car ripping laps. And the Joiners. You guys must know who Hunt the Front guys. That's a pretty good series to watch those guys evolve. They're moving into a nice new shop. They just got their shop built at the Jonathan's house. Jonathan. That was their upgrade, and then all of a sudden they're really taking off. So they just one of their videos recently was them building a new shop. So that's exciting for the Joiners and the Hunt the Front crew.
They're all doing it. I watch. We're gonna do YouTubers. I watch Cletus. I watch him. I watch Vice Grip Garage.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. That's
I
fun.
like that one. That's a good one. Puddin's Fat Shop. You ever see that one?
Maybe. The name doesn't ring a bell.
That's a good one. I watched that one. I watched a couple. Believe it or not, I don't know why, but when there's nothing else on at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll find myself watching the ones where the kids go in and they'll cut a lawn that hasn't been cut in 50 years. They cut just grass.
Okay.
See how it looks before and after.
The transformations. Well, that's a big thing too, guys. That watch me cut this abandoned yard for free.
Yeah.
Transformation. You know what I mean? So I mean, and those guys get views though. I mean, I look at not when I watch YouTube. One of the things I look at, I don't just look at the video. I'm like, how many views did this guy get? What's this? What's this for? That's kind of just like a thing for me. And I look at something. It's like, a guy's like, watch me, I show you how to properly put up a hammock. I'm like, this guy got 193 million views. I'm like, really? People don't know how to do this. I'm like, what's going on? So, but like I said, those views don't pay anymore. And Cletus really did a good job of parlaying that. His YouTube started him into, hey, look, who's dream? Everybody that races or is involved in racing would want to own a racetrack, right?
Yep.
I'm not wrong there. So. that's fun. So I'm always on the hunt for a racetrack to buy. I'm just trying to sort out the financial part of it first. So me and
they're
Josh
out there.
me and Josh are going to put our heads in our finances together and try and produce a track.
The problem is the ones that you can afford are in the middle of nowhere. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's right. I don't want to move to like Paducah, Kentucky. It's just not.
Yeah.
My wife, convincing her of that. Be like, you don't want to move into the middle of the abandoned coal belt and race, a race on a Saturday night track with like splintery bleachers, and fights. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yeah. You go back to North Wilkesboro, they're going to do a month with asphalt, and then later on they're going to do like a month where you can be there'll be a date where you could take your car and go down there and race. And then after that,
I'm not all about that. I would like to do one, but I'm not a big travel guy when it comes to that stuff.
And then after that, they're going to take the dirt off of it and then redo it the right way. And they haven't decided.
I saw some discussion about that, and I think they're going to get they'll get like ARCA. And they'll probably get some other
truck
late model
modified
series
tour
stuff like that.
Yeah. Late model racing. But that's good.
Look, that's a name. Look, as long as they do it right and the fan experience is there, there's value in the name there and the brand.
And then it goes in part two. They'll make money on the people watching it on Flow.
Right. And then hopefully they choose the right provider, of course, for something like that, because we've seen some of the disaster choices. And then, boy, that's something to discuss real quick too. There really is a broad range of ways that you have to be subscribed to be able to watch racing at different tracks these days. A lot of it's Flow. You got Dirt Track Digest.
Yeah.
Is another one, and then
the Speed 51 was there for a while. Was one
right? It's Speed Vision or something was another one. And then some guys are self-promoting now too. They're launching their own ability to stream and collect it and cutting out the middleman. Which I guess if you're willing to make the technical commitment, that's of course doable. But seems like a lot of work, if you ask me.
Our own Eric Brennan works for one of them. I'm not sure.
Right? Yeah, I know he was involved in something
Southern
like that.
Modified.
Oh, the Smart Modified Tour.
Yeah, I don't know who does that one, but that's what
we were just talking about, Josh, while you stepped away, that some of the different ways that and to watch racing, the different content providers.
That's it, just like every network. Everybody's streaming now, which it's long overdue if you ask me.
Right. Well, it's there's so many of them, well, not so many, there's a couple of them, but then, there are guys that are doing it themselves now,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you could probably appreciate, Josh, the technical commitment to be able to really broadcast and the bandwidth to put up a race. And, once you have the initial investment handled and, your initial setup done, it gets easier, but even just for something as simple as our podcast, the amount of equipment we had to obtain and put together to make it something of quality. So this is rambling a little bit, but our buddy James, he's going to be doing the video work at Wall this year, and he's asked me to help out a bit. So. But he had to get a new video camera for that, because you want to have good quality, especially if you're going to be turning this into DVDs and stuff like that. So, I look forward to helping. I can't do it every week, but if I can handle, maybe I'll take the factory stocks and this and, whatever, pick a couple divisions and then he takes the others or whatever. But then, it's... If we could stream that, that would be a whole separate thing. But it worked out well for Turkey Derby because people, you can hem and haw at the price. I'm not going to go down that road right now because that's something that needs to be worked out. But I know I went to Turkey Derby for the factory stocks, but then I didn't really have the time available to go for the Saturday show, so I paid and watched the online so I could have it on the TV and I could go in and out and watch it more casually. And
look, if the track made a couple bucks off of that, then great. I'm glad.
It's. I think it. Are you going to turn? Are you going to wind up with a few less bodies in there? Yes. And that translates to other things like maybe a few less T-shirts sold, and of course the food. If people are buying track food, if your food's good like it is at Wall or other tracks, then
right.
But I really think that the pros outweigh the cons, kind of thing.
I
think overall it's a net win. It's a net win for the track. People want to watch the race at the end of the day and then talk about it.
I think we'll go to Wall Stadium because that's where I go on a Saturday night. Am I going to stop going to Wall Stadium to watch it on Flow? I don't know. I'm just going to go to the racetrack because it's close. I think it'll help them in the long run. Wall Stadium has a big following in New England because of the modifieds,
And
I know a lot of
and you
people.
have a lot of old Jersey people that are now in Florida, like Rich Gould.
Well, in North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
so,
I think it's going to help. Not only will it bring new fans to the track, the old fans that can't go no more are watching it. So not only are you packing the grandstands with new fans, you got the older fans that can now watch it from your couch. So
yeah,
as long as you make money,
still be a part of the show, without being part of the show.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, especially if you took, and again, it would be ideal to have it like every week, but especially something like Turkey Derby. Again, if it's like frigid cold, and I could sit there and it's part of the experience. I get it. But,
that was so cold.
But I mean, at the same time, if I could sit on my couch and watch it, especially if there was one of those long caution fests or something like that.
Look, given that option on some of those times when you're not required to be there, there's a lot of times where if I'm not at a track race and I'm there helping somebody, you know what I mean? So I don't have any excuses. I can't be like, I'm just not going. But look, when the option has presented itself on the rare occasion on a weekend, summer night, where I'm just like, do it. I love going to watch it, but I've seen a lot of racing. I've seen enough racing to be at the track for one night. You know what I mean? I'm not going to miss anything that I haven't already seen. So
right.
It's not that hard for me to go, Dirt Track Digest, or put my ass in the car and drive all the way there. It's a pretty easy choice. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
So but I don't have that luxury often. But when I do, I utilize it.
I also want to point out, the midweek shows or even the Friday shows where there's a lot of people they work, and by the time they get out of work and it's too late for them to get to a lot of places, or
right.
or like I said, if it's a weeknight show, a Wednesday night show or something like that, I'll watch it online because I have to get up in the morning, so.
Yeah, it's just not like I just. In fact, there was I forget what it was on. It was one of the Facebook racing groups, and then a couple of my local buddies were commenting on that. One of the Geyer brothers, Trav Geyer, who runs enduros over at Grandview. They were talking about like, does anybody feel like there might be a little too much racing going on here, or something generally like that?
Well, yeah.
Well, I agree with the consensus of the thing was
there were too much.
Like there are for the 4 cylinders at Egypt, we'll use that as an example. That's a schedule I'm familiar with, stuff like that. There's a couple sessions where they got these guys on the card Saturday night, Tuesday night, Saturday night.
Okay. I'm talking about one night in general.
Well, but I'm just saying as an example. So these midweek shows, I think obviously the track's going to race as much as they can. And they're generally, bigger shows and stuff like that. But it seems like every year that goes by, these tracks are adding another 2 or so. Instead of having 1 or 2 big midweek shows throughout the summer, a big July show or something like that.
You got to make money when you can.
Yeah.
I know, I get it, and I know why they do it. But it's kind of an interesting thought, though. Everybody loves racing so much, but is there a such thing as too much racing? I'm not saying that there is or there isn't. I don't want people, burning stuff on my lawn for saying that. People be like, get the pitchfork, go get Biederman. He said he does. There's too much racing. It's like you remember Jerry Maguire when they said, do we have too many clients, and they fired him. So, I don't want to get fired for that. So don't let anybody think that.
There's people that can barely make it to the track with their car once a month, and then you got people like my brother who's race Saturday night and then travel to Vermont on a Tuesday. They turn around to come back to go to Florida on a Thursday.
Yeah,
So
he's a try. I mean, he really is just But Tim drives, or I'm sorry, Scott drives rather. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that kind of long distance travel for something like that, I'm not. It doesn't excite me, and I'm not that hardcore of a racer, I guess.
and
But
as far as too much racing on flow, what I was getting to when I interrupted you the first time, the typical example of that last week, I had the Xfinity race on the regular TV. I had Stafford on the computer. We had some dirt car race on the tablet, and we were watching another race on our phone. That's how much racing you can typically watch. There's so much racing going on that flow.
Tim's like a cyborg. He just like
Yeah.
it all from 4 screens. He's like, yeah, I was bred to watch racing and learn racing, and soaks it all up. He's Will
Speaking of which, on flow this year, Josh, your beloved Bowman Gray Stadium is on there every Saturday night now, so you can stay home and watch it. And we got to congratulate the Bone Kid won their Saturday night.
Yeah. Actually, we should talk about it. So Danny Bone won there, so that was a big important thing for him. And Matt Hirschman won as well.
Stafford.
Stafford.
Yeah.
So, and that was a big deal. Didn't that get him a ride in?
The Abraham car.
Yeah, the SRX thing.
Yeah, yes, it did.
So that's
cool.
Cool.
I did see that. That's pretty good. That's fun. I mean, obviously we know who backs that. That's a Tony Stewart kind of venture, and he's been successful in all forms of racing. So that's been exciting to watch that XR series. It's fun. It's competitive. You see a lot of different disciplines and drivers in there. Some of it's a shit show. Some of it's not. So.
It happens.
Depends on the driver.
Yeah. That Stafford race was normally used to be a modified tour race. It's not anymore. It's more of an open competition modified race, but they still labeled as the Spring Sizzler. And I think this was the 50th year anniversary of that race or whatever. And Matt Hirschman and his father became the first father and son to win that race. Just Tony's won it a couple times. Yeah, he beat Ryan Preece to win the race. Jimmy ended up 5th in that race, I believe. So he had a good showing down there.
That's saying something against that kind of competitive field in that class. I mean, that's a big money thing. I mean, what do we think a motor costs for that class? You think some $50,000 motors?
Oh yeah. I think they said Matt got $21,000 to win altogether, bonuses and everything else.
Big money. Yeah, those are the checks I'm chasing.
Yeah,
I'll be chasing them like my tail for a long time.
Yeah,
still got to chase them now. Still a racing dog. Still going to chase. So.
All right.
And Jack Ely from New Jersey was in that race also.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know where he finished. And Billy Patch retiring.
Yeah, we probably should cover that. And I said that when I was going through the results before, and I didn't circle back to it. So we gotta learn to circle back like our press secretary there. So I'm gonna circle back to that. And so I don't know.
I think he's gonna retire. Like I told you guys before, there's two kinds of retirement. You say, hell with it. I'm not building any more cars. I'm not racing no more. And then your phone rings and you'll be like, you want to drive my car here? You want to drive my car there? That's what Jimmy Blewett did. He sold all his stuff to go watch James and Kayla do what they were going to do as kids, and now he's racing full time on the modified tour after he retires.
Right?
You never know. You never know.
Well, look, when you hang it up, it's because at any level of racing, I don't care whatever you're racing. If you're racing soapbox cars or your Pinewood Derby or whatever, it takes work to win.
Yeah.
And it takes work to go race. Just to show up, we talked about your half the battle thing. Up real quick, Tim, I'll let you go. But the half the battle thing, it takes work to show up and race. So when you get done putting in that kind of work and stuff like that, it's nice to be able to have the phone ring. So go ahead, Tim, what were you thinking?
That's what I was going to say. I think Billy Couch's retired with doing the work on the race cars.
Yeah.
I think
but then you said he's, that's a racing brand. If there ever was one in modified country.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We are in modified country, and that's a brand in the country. of modified. So, like
Well,
you
that
said,
goes back to-
he hangs it up. He's done the work. He gets to show and go.
That
He
goes
probably
back to
doesn't have to
being
get
old-
there early. So,
an old cranky guy. There's a guy's racing since I was a kid. That's definitely changing with the way I look at going to the dirt races.
oh well, he's he dominates, and not in just his modified. He races speedsters, and you'll see him in all different classes, racing up
He's
at
one-
that Kutztown Speedway. I raced there once in one of my cars. That was a fun little bull ring kind of speedway.
He won he won the race champions in an asphalt modified. He's won everything.
Yeah,
He's done it all.
Some people can get in the car and go race. So I wish
Yeah,
I was
that
one of those people. So
That story was he wasn't going to go to that race in Flemington, and I think it was, I want to say it was either Stefanik or Mike Unisco was driving for Mario Fiore. Could have been Mike McLaughlin or one of those guys, and they got sick or couldn't go. And Mario was like, "Well, I want to race," and like, "We'll find somebody to drive the car." He called Billy Pouch. Billy Pouch is sitting on his couch, and they're getting ready to go out for practice in like an hour. And Mario called Billy and said, "You want to race my car? Come on, let's go." And I guess Billy got in his car, and he went there, and they practiced and qualified, and he ended up winning the race.
hey, look, that's why I always carry my racing suit around with me. You never know, right, Josh? I mean,
yeah.
I get people beating down my door to get ready and ask me to race, like I said before. But my program is pretty tight, and I just can't fit that in.
It's difficult. Yeah, no, I mean it's a big
tough.
commitment.
It's tough. I'm part of a tough program as it is, so I wish I could race more. So,
I mean that, and I'm not sure your contract even allows it.
you know what? I haven't sent it over to legal to even look. I haven't even entertained it. In fact, we should. Can you edit that out, Josh? We shouldn't even be talking about that. Corporate really could go nuts about that. With the price of tires and fuel, every corporate dollar helps. So all right. I don't know what else we got to talk about. I think we covered a lot here. What do you guys think?
You want to do? You got any recommendations for anything, Josh?
I was just going to say my review and recommendation is my new multi-tool that finally came after 2 years. It was an Indiegogo, like a Kickstarter kind of thing, and it's actually pretty neat. So it's a Toller Union. So 2 years later, and it's finally here, but it's pretty nice. So
that's cool. You waited 2 years for that, huh? Was that like a Facebook ad you bought it off of? One of those?
I
just back ordered.
No,
hold it up to the screen. Hold it up.
Yeah.
So it's got a
Oh, okay.
Like a wrench there. It's got the knife, the bits, the bit driver, pliers. And it'll split into two pieces, so you can use the pliers on one and the wrench on the other, so you could, so you have two tools to really tighten something down. If
that'll be good for when we go Bigfoot and bring that with us.
Oh yeah, no, it's nice. It's pretty...
You're not getting through a TSA checkpoint with that, Josh. So don't
no. Oh no.
That's just not they'll call you out on that one.
Yeah. So
right, So what do you got, Tim, for recommendations and tips?
Oh, I can always recommend. What do I want to go with today? You know what I'm gonna go? We were talking about before. I'm gonna go with Tim O'Shea. He really helped my mom out with her car, and I just want to appreciate that. Racing family brings stuff like that in,
Yeah.
And
that's a popular name in racing. Just you go up and you see O'Shea's Auto on a number of vehicles. So
he's not out to screw you. Bring your car there. He'll take good care of you.
Yeah, I actually have to call him up tomorrow. I need to.
Yeah, that's how we were talking. Josh had needed some, and his name came up.
Josh had put some toe in his his tires just to get some racing in. So which way do you turn mostly lefts or right when you travel? Which way did you toe?
It's mostly.
What kind of setup was it?
I'm mostly doing those right turns on those parkway entrance ramps and exits.
I got you. I got you. Okay, so little toe to the right, little 3/8 to the right. I got you.
Yeah. So
I guess I can recommend the Fat Boy Bowl this week at Ball Stadium.
Yeah, Fat Boy Bowl.
Yeah.
I got a tip and a recommendation. This is and I said I was going to go with all tech tips and stuff like that, because I think that's important. Do not put a beadlock rim on an old Coates tire machine to break the one bead. Does anybody know why?
Please.
Flies off.
Because you'll bend the beadlock tab receiver ring in, pushing down on the bead from the other side. I couldn't believe it. I didn't smoke them. I'll be able to straighten them up with a wrench. But yeah, breaking the bead on the one side, the ring that's welded onto the rim for the beadlock to receive the bolts for the ring.
Okay.
Yeah, those will bend in. And you won't be able to bolt your ring back on. So that's my tech tip of the day. Do not break a bead with your old Coates tire machine that you had.
Okay.
Use a bead breaker tool. So that's an important one, people. And I learned that one the hard way. So that's what I got. So.
All right. So what have we learned today? Anything?
Well, we got caught up on a lot of racing locally, and we got a kind of an outlook on what's going to happen. I think that's pretty good. We got Wall opening up this weekend. We got good looking weather for racing all over Jersey. I will not be on the track. This is my weekend off. I'll be up at Egypt supporting my buddy, but
okay.
I think we got a good looking season coming up. So, what do you think there, Tim?
I didn't learn anything like funny or anything tonight, but I'm ready to go racing. I got Wall Stadium on Saturday, and I got Sunday Series practice on Sunday, and we're ready to go. Thanks to everybody.
Are you working on Saturday? Are you spotting for somebody up there?
Yeah. As of right now, I'm gonna spot for Jimmy if he ends up going, and Ryan Fisher in the O2 crate mod. That's my gig for this weekend.
That sounds like fun. So next time we talk, we'll see how that went. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, as of right now, I don't know. Jimmy's racing full time on the tour, so I don't see him there that much. And then he's supposed to go to Bridgeport a lot, so I don't see Jimmy being there that much. So it's either I would be doing Jimmy or Cecily if they're there. If Cecily needs me, if not, then I'll probably just pick up a thing here or there from whoever wants. They were there that night, and then Ryan Fisher's my main guy for the crate guy this year, or the full time, I should say, for that.
Okay.
And that's it.
What do you got, Josh?
Today I learned that Joe Gibbs might be trimming his bush.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about.
That is well, we had a brief discussion about that, and maybe we'll save that for as some more news evolves about that.
Yeah, well,
I don't think Joe Gibbs is ready to give up Kyle Busch just yet.
No, despite what his attitude is about racing, I think he's still too valuable. He still has the potential to win.
The feedback is too valuable.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll close things out so I can get editing, and we'll aim to do this again early next week.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, any parting words?
Go to Wall.
Go to Egypt.
Go to Wall.
We all have our tracks. So we're 2-1. All right. I guess we'll see you guys. We'll see everybody at Wall. I'll let you know how it went in Egypt.
Okay.
Talk to you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
Don't forget to wash your hands.